Hi, my name's Beth Pipe, and we're here today to talk about tools, tips, and techniques for support staff. We're going to talk for about 50 minutes or so, but I will give you times during this presentation where you can press pause and ponder some of the points that I'm raising and consider about how they might apply to you in your particular situation. Now, what's my background? So I spend a lot of time talking to lawyers these days, but I spent a lot of time in admin and support roles. And I live a strange life, so I still do, when I can, admin and support roles, just so I can keep my hand in and remind myself what it's like, but also get used to the way that technology is really impacting how we work now. So going back, I'm very, very old. I go back to the days of when we used to send faxes to each other to keep up to date. Whereas today I'm using Teams and Monday and Slack and all those different tools. So it has changed. So what I want to do today is kind of condense a bunch of that into some useful and hopefully quite diverse and different tips for things to think about as you do your role. So things we're going to talk about are how you can identify and play to your many strengths. We're all great at some things and less great at others. That's just the nature of the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what you can do to identify what your strengths are and how you can play to those. We're also going to then think about managing your manager, whether they're a control freak or completely disorganized. We're going to look at quite a big tool there that you can use as a self-diagnostic, and there's further reading and information that you can go off and find out for those. And you can use it to identify yourself. We're also going to think about how that applies to your manager, but also then how those two things work together, where you complement each other and where you might lock horns a little bit. We're then going to move on to look at, as I said, we're going to look at some fairly disparate things, but all of them are really important as part of your job, as we'll see in the next couple of slides. We're going to think about what you can do to raise your brand, to build your brand, to raise your profile, to get your voice heard around the organization. You guys work at the coalface. I know what it's like. You're doing tasks and roles that those further up the chain did differently, maybe when they were in admin roles, or the things have changed, or we do them differently, and you see how things are happening on a day-to-day basis. So there's lots of ways that you can contribute and add value by making suggestions and ideas, and that's kind of where we're moving to the second part of the session, which is about, first of all, how can you raise your brand and your profile so that you can be heard and people will take notice of you? And secondly, then how can you broach ideas for improvements? How can you talk about these ideas? How can you get them onto people's radars? But then also, what can you do about when change is imposed upon you? Because often in some organizations, if they've done it brilliantly, they will consult you and include you in that process, but others may not. So we're going to look at what to do when change is imposed on you. And we're also, just for fun, going to throw in a little bit on time management.